everyone. Welcome to The Wellness Coach. I'm your host, Edie Summers, and we have a really interesting show today, and I'm really excited for people that are listening live because you get to call in if you want to and speak with energy healer Chris Kehler. We're going to be talking about sacred geometry with quantum energy healer Chris Kehler. Chris Kehler is a quantum energy healer using the ancient form of pendulum dowsing for finding the root cause of all health problems, working with pyramid energies and various sacred geometric tools for resolving health issues. Chris uses his extreme open mind to develop the fundamentals and theories for his successful healing protocols, which he uses on clients around the world and beyond. So I'm going to go ahead and welcome Chris into the studio. Hi, Chris. How are you?
I'm doing great, Edie. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you, and I just want to thank you so much for being here. And I have to say, I do have I've had some experience with energy healing. I absolutely know that it works. I'm a huge fan of it. Sacred geometry is I've read a little bit about it, but I don't know much about it. But I was wondering if you could explain to our listeners both what is sacred geometry and also what is energy healing, so that people have a frame of reference.
Okay, sacred geometry, if you look at the pyramids of Egypt, pyramids all around the world, and different shapes of any sort whatsoever, they all have a specific type of energy frequency within them. So when you're able to harness this energy through making your own types of tools with this different geometry, such as circles, such as pyramids, tetrahedrons, all these different shapes, even mathematical shapes, they do have a specific energy within them. The tools that I use primarily there's two different ones. One is called a neutralization ring, which is a ring that pulls negative energies out of your body. And the second is the pyramids. The pyramids I use are about 7 inches by 7 inches. The one I have has got 5 different pyramids stacked on top of each other. And coupled with the intent that I use within the pyramid itself, it creates an amplified effect for the quantum energy to go into your body and do the healing.
And then, so what exactly is energetic healing? Because we're not using, you and I were talking about this a little bit earlier, like we're talking about energy, we're using energy, right? Like is it frequencies that we're using that heal, or what exactly is going on along with intent?
There's a lot of different ways to describe it. A lot of people know about Reiki and quantum touch and EFT. There's a lot of different, I like to say, different ways to cook a potato. There's many different ways to use energy and intent to do healing. Basically, to boil it down to what it really is when you're working with energy within the body, you're working at the quantum level. Quantum means the smallest measurable amount of something. So quantum energy has a consciousness. It is alive, it is there, and when we intend something for it to do, it will go in and do it. So let's say you have a viral infection within your liver. So my intent is going to be to remove or neutralize the vibrational frequency of the virus within your liver. So when I use the pyramid, what I'm going to do is hold it up to your liver and just give the intent, give the command to neutralize all vibrational frequency of virus in the liver. And at the quantum level, the quantum molecules are going to say, okay, Chris, let's go in and do that. And it's going to happen. And generally, 99% of all people I work on, you feel a tingling, you feel a movement of energy, you feel something happening. Quite often, when I work on somebody at that level, right away, whatever symptom that they're feeling, whether it be pain or nausea or some kind of discomfort, will start to leave the body, and they'll notice a feeling of lightness where this heavy energy has been taken out of their body and is just kind of neutralized. It's basically, if you envision an opera singer singing at a frequency and shattering a wine glass, that's more or less what we're doing with the quantum energy within your body.
That's a great description, actually. That's a great metaphor. And also what really struck a chord with me is when you said that quantum energy has a consciousness. Is that what you said? I thought that sounded really, that fascinates me because that, to me, that implies that it's alive. I don't know if that's the right word to use, but I'm just wondering if you wanted, if there's anything to expand on that. Go ahead.
Basically, it goes much more deeper than that. But as human beings, we need to be able to visualize something on what it really is. It goes, like I said, it goes much deeper. But to say that it has consciousness and things can adjust and it'll adjust the molecules in your body at the atomic level, that's probably the best way to describe it, because we can all envision a nucleus with atoms going around it and just vanishing things with like an opera singer singing at a frequency to shatter a wine glass. Probably the best way to describe it.
Now, but you have piqued my curiosity, though, when you say it goes much deeper than that. I mean, do we have any time to go a little bit deeper than that? Or, I mean, I want to let you, I know we only have maybe 25 minutes here, but I just want to, if that's something that you feel like we have time to, I would love to hear more about what does go deeper there. I'll leave that up to you, though.
Yeah, let's boil it down a little bit. Every health problem that there is, there's, for the most part, there's a two-part to it. There's a spiritual part, which means that there could be some type of spiritual universal energy, which is poltergeist or some type of spirit attachment. Could be something alien, like an alien species within your body, and we all have this. Bottom line, we all do have some type of attachment. So when you go into that level of quantum energy, and everything is quantum energy, by identifying it and going deep into what it really is, universal law says if you identify something, it has to leave. So that's the whole key way my system works, is when I use my pendulum, and it tells me what is within your body. So there's a liver infection, there's going to be a virus, there's also going to be something that accompanies it, some type of spiritual universal energy. Once you find out what it is, be it a zeta reticuli, a reptilian, negative green vertical energies, whatever it might be, you just tell it to leave, and it has to leave. And that's when we know that things are there of that nature, because all of a sudden the health problem goes away. Everything I do is all proof in the pudding.
There's another great metaphor. And you mentioned some pretty interesting. Did you say it was something about green vertical energy, or maybe that's going too far down the rabbit hole for people. I don't know, but I find that I'm curious what that is.
Yes, it is.
That's a deep rabbit hole.
Green vertical, basically. Here's the easy way to describe it. If everybody remembers back when they found King Tut's tomb and they all went in and took out all of his goodies, and most of the scientists got sick and died, that was an energy called negative green vertical, which is basically a wavelength of radio waves, which negative entities and energies can come in and out to affect our body. So that's Dr. I forget exactly what his name is, Rahib something. Sorry for drawing a blank, but he discovered this energy, and it is something that does exist.
Oh, okay. Actually, that kind of rings a bell. Now, but you were also mentioning that you used your pendulum. So I know that you and I were also talking about like muscle testing. So I have two questions. Is that what you use your pendulum for? Is that to muscle test? And also, I think that you had some really great information about muscle testing in general that I was wondering if you could maybe help people so they have a better idea of how to do it when they're doing it on their own.
When I did start off on this journey, I did start off doing muscle testing. And lots of people know about it. They call it applied kinesiology. And I started off doing it. I caught on to it pretty quick, but then I discovered the pendulum, started using it, and just found it was a lot more easier and more accurate to find the answers, because with a pendulum, you can create a series of charts that take you to the root cause of a health problem. With muscle testing, you have to rely on what you can remember, because you're tapping your fingers or you're pushing on the arm to see what's weak or strong. Muscle testing, what we talked about, is a lot of people use different forms of it, be it the body pendulum, where you hold something to your chest and you ask if it's good for you, and if you fall forward, it's good. If you fall backward, your body doesn't want it. You always have to make sure that your polarity is correct when you do this. Every time you muscle test, just say the words, correct my polarity, and you will get a more accurate answer. So people who do muscle test for supplements and herbs, please make sure you do that so you can make sure you get the right answer, of course.
Wow, well that's a really great tip, and I'm gonna have to hopefully I can remember that. For now, I have I can always listen back to remind myself. I have these really great audio blogs now where I can that are chock full of information, which is super nice. So I know that you're gonna do kind of like a mass healing for us, which I think is super cool and super nice. And so we're gonna do that in just a little bit, if that's okay with you, but. I always like to hear people's kind of background. Like, if you feel like we have time for that, I'd love to know, and have like people know kind of like how did you get into energy healing, or just any other relevant information that you think might, I don't know, just be interesting for people to hear or relevant.
Okay, well, for the majority of my life, I was in the printing industry. When I was 16 years old, I started working, and I loved printing. I'm 51 now, so I spent a good, almost 30 years in the industry. And it was about 8 years ago that my first wife passed away. She had a rare disease called scleroderma. So I had to watch her suffer through that. And before all this happened, I didn't know anything about working with energy or alternatives of any kind. So, I had to watch her go through this. When she did pass away, it did enable me at 45 years old to retire. So the old story goes, one door closes, another door opens, and I literally walked through a doorway and into somebody's practice and discovered all this type of energy healing and different types of alternative modalities. Took a big interest in it because I had nothing better to do anyway. Took some courses, found that out. Yeah, okay, Chris, you're intuitive. You can do this. And I just thought, you know what, this is pretty cool. Let's pursue it. And I've been 6 years so far doing this professionally and actually helping people very, very quickly with a multitude of different health problems.
So would you like to talk about that more? Like how exactly, how many people have you worked with? Like what kind of health issues do you address? And just, let's get into the nitty gritty. And then if you want to do that healing too, that would be super cool.
Well, ultimately it's basically absolutely any health problem whatsoever. So different types of cancers can be dealt with this type of system. Any kinds of body aches and pains can be dealt with. Now, ultimately, you have to know what is causing a certain health problem. So let's take general body aches and pains, for instance. There's two general things that I really look for. One of them is calcium. Everybody knows that calcium is good for you. As we get older, we need to take calcium because we don't want to get osteoporosis. But what a lot of people don't realize is that if you don't have the proper components in your body with minerals to absorb the calcium is going to start to store within other areas of your body, such as your muscular system, your joints, and it's not going to absorb into the bone cells. So if it doesn't absorb, it creates this hardness within your body. Arterial sclerosis, what the heck is that? That is calcium built up in the veins and arteries in the heart that causes things to get brittle and not to work properly. So when you use quantum energy to remove the excess calcium, all of a sudden your blood pressure normalizes, your heart beats stronger, you feel more energetic. And I do this for people on a daily basis, finding these different things. A lot of us, the doctors will tell you have inflammation within your body, inflammation in your blood, your muscles, your brain. What is causing this inflammation? There's something out there called nightshade plant toxins, which is potatoes, tomatoes, peppers, eggplants. These types of vegetables contain a toxin within the leaves that keep insects away. So when food makers create a food and they put it in powder form or dried form, they put it in a box, of course they don't want insects getting into it. So they utilize these leaves, mix them up into the food, and now insects are going to stay away, but our bodies are absorbing this and causing inflammation, causing pain. Get right down to it. That's what it is. Food colorings are very, very big with this. So when you know what to work on, you tell the problem to go away, it goes away. So those are kind of the basics, and it gets really deep. I go deep into the DNA and into epigenomics and all different types of things that can cause problems. I'll work on the soul level. I can reattach your soul. I can find out what's going wrong with that. All the energy levels of your body, all these different areas, the holographic body, etheric template, all these different areas can contain a negative energy. or a code or an implant that can be contributing to your health problem. So you got to go really deep in all these different areas to really find what the problem is.
And you mentioned a couple of things there, epigenetics and the holographic body. And I find those also really fascinating. Epigenetics, for anyone who doesn't know, means above and beyond genetics. And so a lot of the research out there is showing that our disease is a combination of things that go on inside the cell, but the cell is influenced by what's going on outside of it as well, and it's more influential.
Correct.
So for people that anyone who doesn't know what that means, that's really important, and that's a huge new way of looking at health and disease. So, and then now the holographic body. Could you explain that a little bit more? And you said something else too, but I can't remember what it was. But
there's so many things. I work within about 50 different areas of the aura or our energies. The holographic body is an area within our energy, our aura, where a hologram will play out. So our bodies will kind of follow that. If you envision a movie playing next to you on the left-hand side, and we're watching that movie and doing exactly what that movie does, if there's a holographic insert or a program that we're meant to follow, we're going to follow that. So sometimes we need to change the program in order for your body to do something different so the health problem can go away.
Oh, wow.
If you consider the third dimension reality is a hologram. So right now we're living in the third dimension, and we're following this illusion or this hologram of what things are supposed to be. When in fact, you know what? The best way to describe it: watch the movie The Matrix. It's going to explain it in such a very, very vivid way. Yeah, the movie The Matrix is incredible.
That is the movie The Matrix is a great metaphor.
It is.
For things of this nature, for sure. So I still find that really fascinating. I'm still trying to understand. So you're saying that there's more going on than the holographic body, or no? Is that the highest? I'm trying to understand, how does the hologram work? There's so many levels.
Well,
okay.
The hologram. Okay, so think of Star Trek and the holodeck.
Oh, right.
They put in a program. And this whole program plays out that they can participate in. That's probably
right.
There's so much truth into all these television shows and movies that we watch. It's not even funny.
So that you're saying is that's the 3D level of reality.
Correct. That
we're in. But at the same time, if your body's a hologram, doesn't that mean that you can work with your body on the holographic level to sort of inform it? I mean, because the thing that I learned is I worked with some energy healers in Peru, and they were saying, I originally went down there to work with some shamans in the rainforest, and then I found out that there were other kinds of shamans down there that worked with the energetic body, and they were like, this is the highest level of healing when you're working with the energy body. So it's interesting how and I've heard that many times. So, and sometimes that's a hard thing to hear when you have something that when a health issue has reached such a deep level in the physical body, but people I've definitely heard and experienced this, that if you can address it from the highest level, like where it began, then you can get it out of the body where it's rooted at the deepest level. So.
Yes. Let me explain exactly how that works in layman's terms. We've all heard of a term called phantom pain. Somebody loses a leg in an accident, but they still have pain in the foot or the knee or something that isn't there. So basically, in the energetic body, that leg still exists. So our physical bodies work off of these energy bodies, so your body still thinks the leg is still there. It's going to register pain because something is still wrong. The problem was never fixed before the leg was, let's say, amputated or something like that. So that's how the energy works. So if somebody comes into me and they've had their spleen removed, but they're still experiencing the health problems or the symptoms of it, I still need to work on the spleen as if it's still there, and then the problem goes away.
Wow, that's pretty fascinating. And then I'm kind of tripping on that. So you were going to do a kind of like a mass healing, which I think is super cool. So and you said that you can actually let's see. I'm not going to tell people what to expect. Let's just see if we can check in afterwards and see what people.
Here's what I'm going to do.
Okay.
I'm going to take my large pyramid. I'm going to hold it up to my computer. I'm going to give it some intent and instruction. Anybody who's listening, if you just put your hand on the computer, if you're wearing headphones, fantastic. And what you might feel is a tingle within your body, a wave of energy. You might feel a chill or something. So let's do that right now. So I'm going to hold my pyramid up, and I'm going to use an energy called the wet flame. And I'm going to run the wet flame through the entire server, entire broadcast, and send it to all people that are listening to do a mass healing and to go in to do whatever it needs to do. This is going to take about 10 seconds.
Okay.
Send the wet flame to the entire server, all computers, to all people that are listening. And as I'm doing this, I'm getting a huge pull of it on my energy, on my end. Okay, so that is finished. That went through, and most people are going to feel it immediately.
Okay. Wow.
So
thank you for Dave. Thank you for doing that. And also, what does wet flame mean?
Wet flame is a combination of different energies that my guides have given me to work with. Lots of people who do energy work will work with, let's say, violet flame, diamond flame. Different colors have different energies, just like sacred geometry. So everything has its own type of energy and purpose. And I've taken two different energies and combined them, and it gives me something called the wet flame, and it goes to a much deeper level. Basically, it's going to remove any type of illness that's been brought on by anything demonic or satanic. And most of everything that's going through our bodies is at that level. So that removes everything that is demonic and satanic.
Interesting. Well, thankfully, I'm glad you did that then. So, because we definitely don't want that in our bodies.
No.
And then, so why don't you go ahead, Chris, and tell people how they can find you, your website, contact information, all of that, if someone wants to work with you.
Yeah, my website is chriskehler.net, and it's spelled CHRISKEHLER.net. Don't do chriskehler.com. That's a different Chris Kehler. I think he's an accountant or something. Okay. He cornered chriskehler.com, so I got to use chriskehler.net. I am on YouTube. I've got about 90 different videos on YouTube that describe and give different explanations about the work I do and my philosophies on things. So you can search me on YouTube. My email address is CKEHLER100@shaw.ca. You can get a hold of me anytime. This is what I do for a living, Monday to Friday, 10 hours a day, 5 days a week. I rarely take time off because I can't.
Wow.
My fee for this type of work is $55 per session. That is it, not thousands
That's really
of dollars.
affordable.
That's
everybody
needs to be able to do this. This is God's work, and why make a ton of money off of doing God's work? I'm not going to make $1 million off of you. I'm going to make $1 million off a million of you. Okay, that's my philosophy. So very easy to get a hold of. If you get a hold of me today, I will get back to you today or tomorrow, and we can set up appointments next week, the week after, whatever. It doesn't matter. This work does work. It is something that I'm very, very passionate about. I need to get the word out there. That's why I'm doing radio shows like this, just to educate people on how energy work can help your health problem or any type of other problem whatsoever, whether it be depression, whether it be addiction, whether it be pain in your body. Doesn't matter what it is. Anything can be addressed with this type of system.
So I'm sure I know that will give lots of people hope, and I want to. I'm sorry, I said your last name incorrectly. So it's Chris Kehler. Is that correct?
Kehler.
So chriskehler.net. And just so, because a lot of people are listening on iTunes, and so I just want to reiterate what your website is. And thank you so much for coming on. And I'm wondering, we have a few minutes left. I'm wondering if there's anything you want to share, like any of your best tips or anything else that you feel like is really relevant that you'd like to share in these last few minutes.
Well, I always tell people if you're suffering from any kind of chronic health problem, do a parasite cleanse. About 50 to 80% of all major health problems are caused by a parasite. I do live blood analysis within my clinic, and it shows. at a very tangible level that parasites are within your body. Do the research on parasites. It's incredible. Lyme disease is another very, very big one that I do lots of work on at a very deep level. Mineral analysis is a very big thing that I do also to make sure minerals are balanced within your body. So number one, if you're suffering from a health problem, just do a parasite cleanse. It's not going to hurt you. It's just a good way to make sure your body is clean.
And how do you recommend that people do a parasite cleanse? I mean, I've actually, I'm getting into essential oils now, and I think I read somewhere that, I'm not sure which kinds work, but I know that they can penetrate the cell wall, so I'm wondering, I know that a lot of people use like wormwood and stuff like that, but I'm just wondering, do you recommend herbs for that, or like what do people usually do?
What I like to use is something called diatomaceous earth. It's extremely inexpensive. It's 100% organic, and the molecule of diatomaceous earth is almost the hardness of a diamond. So as it passes through your body, it's going to cut up any parasites that are there. It's going to actually kill them. It's going to do other things also. It's going to clear out your colon. It's going to clear out your veins and arteries. It's like sandpaper going through your system, and it cleans things out. It's also going to add a nutrient called silica, which is extremely important to absorb calcium into your body. So if you've got a bone problem, you might want to consider some diatomaceous earth to add silica to absorb the calcium. It's also got a certain level of phosphorus, which is great for your bones. So all in all, it's a very inexpensive product. It works extremely well, and it'll do a lot of good things for your body. There's lots of other things also you can use for a parasite cleanse. There's candida cleanses, there's wormwood, there's black walnut. There's all these different types of herbs that will work. Do some research, find something that resonates with you, and
very important.
And just take it. Yeah.
Yeah, I really appreciate you saying that, because I think that's what everything is really about for healing, is you have to find what resonates with you. It's intention and what resonates. I think those are
correct. Those
are two of like the hugest things. So that's just like that's a perfect way to sort of wrap up our conversation, because you can't really say much more than that. So excuse me. So I just wanted to thank you again so much for being here today, Chris, and it was really lovely to meet you. Excuse me. And so I think I appreciate you being here, and thanks so much for explaining some of these concepts on a deeper level for me and for the rest of us too. So thank you so much.